Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's session of our webinar. This is a series of webinar related to financial wealth, uh, directly or oriented or targeted to small businesses and entrepreneurs. And we have a really great team of people, experts on their field, providing with information that is really valuable for, again, entrepreneurs and business owners. Today, I would like to introduce Wilfredo Dominguez, who is the person that has been the lead of the team. Again, this is a team effort, but he's been coordinating the whole activity here. And again, this is part of a series. Today is the English version of this webinar, and then next week we will have the Spanish version of it, and then next month we'll have a different topic that will be related to the financial foundations for small businesses. So with that, I just want to read a little bit of the credentials for Wilfredo. Wilfredo is a dedicated financial advisor at Northwestern Mutual, known for his practical approach to helping business owners and their families navigate their financial needs. He was born and raised in Honduras, and Wilfredo moved to Minnesota in 2007 to pursue his graduate studies, earning a PhD in food microbiology and biotechnology. And he's got a lot of other credentials, but at some point he transitioned from a successful career in scientific research to financial advising. So that's the important piece. So many years, so many experiences that he's got. And again, there's a lot of other things that I can read about him, but it will take too long. So I just wanted to let you know that Wilfredo and this team has got full credentials to be able to share all this financial information with you. With that, Wilfredo, welcome. Thank you for participating with us.
Thanks, Fabio. Thanks to Latino Chamber for this opportunity as well. And also thanks to our panelists. It's really a great team that we've been able to put together, and they're volunteering their time and expertise with us. Real excited to introduce them today. Like Fabio was mentioning, today we will have the topic of financial basics to make your business thrive. Dr. Daisy Valentino will be the main speaker today. She is the president and CEO of Valentine Consulting, LLC. She brings over 20 years of experience in the accounting profession and 17 years in higher education. She holds a doctorate in Walden University with a focus on accounting, finance, and quantitative analysis, along with several other certifications in project management and business leadership. She's a proud Puerto Rican, and she has taught at universities and colleges across the US and also internationally, supporting non-traditional learners, adult education initiatives, and some other initiatives like those. Through her consulting work, she empowers small and non-traditional businesses to simplify financial operations to drive sustainable growth. She lives in Farmington, Minnesota with her husband and youngest child. She's a proud mother and grandmother. Her daughter lives in Bloomington with 5 children, and her eldest son is a U.S. Navy veteran living in San Diego, California. Today we also have Kevin Beach. He talked last month. He talked about succession planning for your businesses. This is a recording that is available in the Latino Chamber website, so check it out if you didn't get a chance to look at it. There's an English version and there's also a Spanish version. Kevin is from the northwest suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. He grew up until attending St. John's University College of St. Benedict, where he graduated with a BA of Political Science and a minor in Hispanic Studies. This minor he earned while studying in Quetzaltenango, Guatemala, where he learned Spanish. He then went to the University of St. Thomas School of Law for his law degree, clerked in the Hennepin County, and investigated litigated insurance fraud. Kevin is a real property, small business, and state planning attorney with Marks and Sheffield PLLC, and they're located in Maple Grove, Minnesota. He used his Spanish background to assist clients in estate planning, probate, managing small businesses. Recently, he had a clinic at Los Abogados Cafe in St. Paul to discuss the importance of powers of attorney for individuals, business owners, and those in the Spanish-speaking community. That's Kevin, and the third member of our panel is Pablo Torres. He's not able to join us today, but he will be here next month, and we will be talking about wealth management for business owners at that point. Pablo Torres is in Chicago. He's the founder of the Torres Wealth Management at Northwestern Mutual. He firmly believes that discussions around financial literacy should be the source of inspiration, not intimidation. So we'll have him next month, so make sure you register for that as well. With that, I'd let Dr. Daisy take it from here, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. That is so amazing. Thank you so much. Today, we're going to cover the core financial skills every small business owner or small non-traditional business owner needs to stay afloat and grow from cash flow to taxes, bookkeeping, and choosing the right business structure. Whether you're brand new or have been in business for many years, these foundations are essential to you. Okay, so we're going to just start off with a little story. I like to start off with this little story because it resonates with many individuals that have a business or plan to have a business. So let's talk about Rosa. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about Rosa's traveling treats. Okay, Rosa ran a small non-traditional business, a mobile dessert cart that she took to festivals, farmers markets, and special events. Her cheesecake in a jar was their local favorite, and sales were steady. But Rosa had one big problem. She didn't separate her business money from her personal money. Every sale went straight into the same checking account. She used it for rent. She used it for groceries, to pay her bills. She thought all along as she kept receipts and paid taxes at the end of the year that all that was all accounting that she needed to do. But when festival season slowed down, Rosa suddenly found herself short on cash to restock ingredients, to repair her cart. She didn't know which expenses belonged to what, if it was her business, if it was her personal. And when her tax bill came in, it wiped out her savings account that she had left. Vendors began asking for payment she couldn't make on time, and then she almost had to shut down. It wasn't until a friend introduced her to a bookkeeper or a CPA that learned the truth. Tax preparation is not the same as bookkeeping. With proper records separating accounts and monthly reports, Rosa could finally see her money was going somewhere, making smarter decisions and building a cushion for slower months. Today, Rosa's traveling treats is thriving, but she'll tell anyone who asks. If you don't separate your money and keep proper books, business will eat itself before you even notice. So if anybody could relate to that, just write in the chat, because that's what happens with many small businesses. We do know that many times we think that tax preparation is the same thing as having an accounting system, a bookkeeper, something to account to separate our business from our personal use of funds. Last week, one of the things that Kevin talked about was knowing your business structure, and I want to reiterate that here because, well, we'll talk about the comparison of the sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC, and S corp and C corp because of taxes, liability, and best uses. But it also helps you in understanding how you're going to set up your bookkeeping as well. So your structure affects how much you pay in taxes, what's your personal risk, choosing that based on your liability protection, your tax advantages based on each one. As you know, sole proprietorship is just you're personal. You're just a W-2 1099. You're just saying you're just a sole proprietor. When you go into looking at the different tax advantages for each one. Each one has their pros and each one has their cons. But understanding these different tax advantages helps you grow in your business. And remember, you can change later as your business evolves. But knowing which one it is very crucial when you're dealing with your bookkeeping, okay? Because you want to make sure that it's happening properly. So we'll take a quick look at 3 quick examples for a sole entrepreneur, a small team, a startup seeking investment, or see how these concepts apply to your real life. So many times these different options, you want to meet with, a CPA firm, an accounting firm, a bookkeeper, just to get an idea of where you fall in these specific areas, because it could affect you. If someone is going to come after your business because of something specific, you want to make sure that your entity or business structure is protecting your personal, is not mixed with your business. So it's protecting you. So make sure that that is something you're looking at. So also, one of the things that we'll be discussing is why financial education matters for business owners. Many times we go into businesses and businesses fail not because they lack customers, but because they lack financial management or financial understanding. Today, what we're going to share with you is how to understand and manage your cash flow, how to plan ahead for taxes and avoid nasty surprises, because you know that can happen. Okay. And then the basics of bookkeeping and budgeting. All right. So that's one of the things we're going to take a look at. Now, let's start off with cash flow, because before you can go into the entity, before you can go into anything, you need to have a business plan. And one of those business plans includes cash flow. What is cash flow? Basically, it's simply the money moving in and out of your business, the actual physical cash, money that comes in and out. Positive cash flow means you can pay your bills, you can reinvest, you can grow. But negative cash flow can lead to borrowing, stressing, even closing the doors. If your sales look good on paper, but it doesn't look good in reality, that's not good. So making sure that when you're putting in a budget, you're putting in a business plan, you know where that cash flow is coming from. Whether you're a small, non-traditional business, facing unique challenges when it comes to finances, or you're not a transitional business, we want to make sure that you know that unlike traditional businesses where income is more predictable and steady, freelancers, you're thinking, oh, am I a non-traditional business? Let me come back up a little bit. Don't want to go too far in. Well, what is a non-traditional business? Freelancers, direct salespeople, creative entrepreneurs, consulting, non-traditional means you are a business in yourself. You have your own little business that you help bigger businesses do work for. So anyone that often is experiencing irregular income could be a non-traditional business. So you might have months where business booms, then you have months where it feels that things slow down. But this is where you have to make sure that you are aligning at that beginning. You know, I'm telling you, things happen. You need to adjust your business plan. You need to adjust your budget. You need to adjust things, but you have to have where you know what your peak and non-peak times are and where that money is coming from versus going out. And that starts from with a good business plan and then applying it to having the right people in the right place, whether it's an attorney, whether it's CPA, whether it's financial management planning for individual versus personal. You want to have all these things. So managing your finances under those circumstances can feel very overwhelming, and we know it can. But especially when it comes to bookkeeping and budgeting, long-term planning is really important. But you don't have to worry. You need a complicated accounting system, because that is not true. Okay. Once you know what your entity is, then we explain, CPAs, myself included. I'm one of those people that explain the different portions of where you need to stand based on your business entity. Okay. And that's going to help you know how to make things a lot more smoother. With the right tools and strategies, you can reduce stress, keep your finances in check, and no matter how unpredictable things may seem, you will be able to have that in place. Okay? So, what are our common mistakes? Let's talk about making sure that that entity is crucial. Okay? Sole proprietor basic means you're at risk 100%. Your personal and your business is at risk 100% if you're sole proprietor because you haven't separated your personal. You're still that, it's still, you still get taxed, as a business, but also you're still that regular individual. Okay. That's just a 1040. That's all it is. Okay. You do a Schedule C as a small business owner, but it's still like if you were one person. Now you go into partnership, like I said, partnership and above, there's pros and cons. So the common mistakes here is not only not keeping cash for reserves, but also making sure that the entity that you chose is separating that piece for your taxes. So when you are doing your bookkeeping and you are implementing this stuff, you are not having those issues. Partnership means you have two people that became partners. Okay. You do your taxes, you get a 1065, and you do your taxes separately. Each one does their taxes, but they bring in that 1065. If you want to learn more about that, reach out to a CPA and or a accounting firm. Now, when you're looking at an S corp, when you're looking at an LLC, where's most typical non-traditional businesses go to. It's a limited liability company. It's where you have, you're separating it, but to a limitation. Okay. You're still separating yourself, but there's still a limitation. And it's really good for individuals that are not making this significant amount of money a month. All right. Now, once you start saying, okay, I'm trying to make more money, I want to increase, I want to start paying myself, I'm increasing more than 250,000 a month. I need to change my business structure or entity to an S corp or a C corp. Now, before you do that, make sure you reach out to a professional for corporations or tax preparation because you don't want to get the wrong information. An S corp, there's lots of details involved in it. The only thing is that you want to make sure you have different types of board members. There's board members up to a certain point in S corp, where in a corporate you could have unlimited stakeholders in it. So there's different specifics in there. So make sure that you're a right fit for the type of entity that you plan on transitioning to. Okay. Now let me get back to common mistakes and tools. So one of the common mistakes is not keeping cash reserves. What do we mean by that? Well, many times we don't pay attention where our peak times are and our off-peak times are. So then now we're struggling in our off-peak times because we're not bringing in the funds or the services or expenses like taxes or seasonal slowdowns. We're not looking at that piece. It's really important to keep reserves when you are knowing that taxes are coming up. You got to pay quarterly taxes, sales taxes, whatever your business is required to do. You want to make sure that you are providing that information. You are keeping that information because that can cause you to have a big hiccup. Overestimating revenue is another thing. Don't overestimate your revenue. That's what the accounting softwares are for, the helpful tools that are out there to help with these type of things, with spreadsheets, accounting software, and cash flow. Like if you're looking for, okay, how can I forecast for the months that I'm not? Let's look at your average. Many times I tell small non-traditional businesses, let's look at what you do average throughout the year so we can averagely allocate that properly, and including in your accounting software, specific software that you use for your business, and a cash flow forecasting will anticipate any shortfalls that maybe happen before they even happen. So, not ignoring expenses, knowing that what are your expenses are in a small business is really crucial. It's really, really crucial. So it's really good to understand by knowing where your money's going. Okay. And when you implement an accounting software, you implement the bookkeeping, you implement the structure, a lot of I tell people it really gives you a sense of ease and less stress. I said stress less and prosper more. That's what I usually tell people. Stress less and prosper more. But not only that, I get this misconception that many people say, "Oh, I can't start an accounting software until my business is making revenue." No, you don't. When you start that business, the first minute you start, you get your entity, you get your licensures, you get everything that you need, you get that tax ID number, you should be implementing some type of software. A lot of software start off as free. Some of them start in as your business grows, you may need to pay a monthly fee. But you know what? Meet with that CPA or tax advisor, because you want to make sure you're getting the right software for you and you're having the right information for your entity. Okay? Because that way you're not missing anything. And again, you're not mixing your personal with your business expenses or income. Okay? Next thing is, why plan for taxes? IRS doesn't wait for nobody. One of the things I know, IRS doesn't care. They don't wait for nobody. Taxes aren't just a once a year thing. When you have a business and you're not planning, you are going to be faced with a huge tax bill that you can't pay. Planning really helps you spread the costs and that tax advantage deductions and reduce stress. Avoid surprises. I tell many small clients, every quarter you should be paying some of your taxes. You should see. Many times they're like, "Oh, but I didn't make no money. I didn't do this." But if you're working another job and you have your small business and you got several incomes coming in, you need to separate for taxes. Okay. Most small business must pay quarterly, keep detailed records, and track deductions. Again, a good tax advisor, CPA, or accounting firm can help you save money and a lot more than they cost. Okay. So think about who can you partner with to help you keep this going. Because many times when we look at that, it's because they think that tax preparation or doing your taxes is accounting, and it's not. You could be saving a lot more money by not getting educated to what you need to apply to your tax returns based on your business entity. Okay. So don't wait until tax season. All right. Don't wait until, tax season is here. Many times small businesses need to put their taxes in before the individual tax return. So don't wait till April 15th. Don't wait till whatever day. Don't wait for that. Okay. If you are paying people with W-2 or 1099, you got subcontractors, that is another thing that you need to do. Need to make sure that this has been implemented properly in your accounting software so you can provide those items to those individuals that you are paying to. I really stress to individuals, do not pay with cash if you want to make sure that that expense is there. You want to pay with a check. You want to pay with a direct deposit. You don't have a payroll system and you want to pay payroll and you're not paying yourself. You need to do this. You need to implement that. That's part of the bookkeeping process, is bookkeeping, payroll, and then your managerial financial accounting pieces are all part of those pieces before you end up with those tax preparations. Remember, there's obligations and allies, quarterly tax payment deductions for payroll, for quarterly sales tax. Minnesota, dependent on the state you live, I'm talking mostly about Minnesota. Minnesota, you have local, you have state, you have county, you have, I can just name several there. There's several ones that you need to be paying. You don't want to not be paying the proper taxes and then get hit with the bill that's going to make you broke or make you lose your business or make sure that you get a lien. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are, following along with those rules and regulations. Again, I can't stress anymore is a good tax advisor, CPA, accounting firm that can educate you is really, really important. All right, next topic here is bookkeeping. We're going more in advance to bookkeeping and budgeting. What is bookkeeping? You hearing us talk about bookkeeping, accounting, making sure your business entity is well. Bookkeeping is you just need the bookkeeping basics. You don't need to be, the main person out there to learn it all, know it all. Bookkeeping is recording every financial transaction, income and expense, which is money coming in, money going out, is organized in its proper categorization, because this is the foundation for understanding your numbers when you're filing your taxes accurately and making business decisions. Okay. If you don't have the proper tracking, if you're not documenting properly, if you're not reconciling, if you're not seeing your profit and loss statement, you're not seeing your balance sheet, basically what that is how well is my company doing? How healthy is my company? Small or big, even if you're starting off, you want to see if you're breaking even, if you're making a little profit. Where are you spending too much money on? What are the costs that you need to be expensing? What are areas that that you haven't been expensing that could be benefiting you in the long run for your taxes? So, getting educated and making sure that this is done for your business is really important. Whether you're in business now or you're starting a new business, you want to evaluate, have you gotten a financial analysis recently? Have you checked how well your company has been doing health wise? Okay, this is really crucial. So this is something that needs to be done every 6 months for a small business, even for larger organizations, but mostly for small businesses. You want to see how well the flow of money is going, especially if you are a business that has a peak time where your money's really well at certain times and really low at certain times. So, give you for example, the hotel industry. So here in Minnesota, it's really beautiful right now. The whole hotel industry is booming right now in Minnesota. Okay? Because people want to be in Minnesota. It's not humid. It's nice. We got camping. We got all kinds of beautiful lakes, 10,000 lakes. People want to visit us, right? In the summer. What happens to winter? Boop. It goes down. Certain areas go down. Like, of course, if you're a big skier, whatever, those particular areas, you go to Buck Hill, stuff like that. But not everybody is like that. Everybody says, oh, I don't want the cold. I'm leaving, going back to other states, south of Minnesota, where it's warm. Now, that's the peak time for those states. But in Minnesota, where's our peak time? You can kind of look at that when you're trying to book a travel. In the summer, it's really expensive to come to Minnesota. But in the winter, it's easier to be in Minnesota, book a travel to Minnesota. People don't want to come when it's cold, right? We're close to Canada. We're close to the North Pole. I call it the Minnesota. But those are kind of things that you have to think about. Now, creating a budget is really important. Now, there's a difference between creating a budget and forecasting. So when you create a budget, this is a roadmap to your financial projections. Okay. You want to project income and expenses, compare actual results to your plan. Okay. And adjust. Many times you're saying, well, oh, I'm just starting my business. It's okay. Whatever your business plan that you put in as a projection based on your research, you can kind of do a comparable analysis to that. Why is this crucial? Because you want to know how well you are bringing cash in and out of your business, where you're spending that money on. So having these actual results to your plan and adjusting them, reviewing your budget monthly or even quarterly makes it more realistic. Okay? Makes it more realistic to comparing budget versus actual. It's also needed, periodically, depending on the type of business that you are, and if you need to forecast, if you are a business that runs on peak timing during duration of the year or during specific seasons of the year, then you want to do forecasting, within that month and have your yearly budget or quarterly budgets. And that really helps. Why does it help? Because if you have a bookkeeping system, you can implement a budget. It's not just budgeting for your individual personal stuff, but also budgeting for that business. Okay. Again, recommendation of tools. There's no one size fits all, but common tools include QuickBooks Online, Wave, FreshBooks, Google Sheets, Excel. Those are common tools, but keep in mind, every business is different. So pick something you'll actually use consistently, that you can grow with, that it's going to be feasible for you. Most individuals use QuickBooks Online for small businesses. But, a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to use that. You don't have to, but choose what best fits your business. And that's going to give you what you need for your business at that point in time. Many times, as businesses grow, so does your accounting software. Okay. Accounting is accounting. It doesn't matter if it's profit or nonprofit. If you're a nonprofit organization, a 501(c), if you're a profit organization, you need to make sure that accounting software is going to support your needs. Okay. It's going to support your needs. So that is my recommendation to you. All right. Almost done here with this. Almost done here. Again, I know separating finances. Oh, I can't stress this enough. Mixing funds makes bookkeeping messy. Okay, increases the risk of IRS red flags and can even destroy your legal protections if you're an LLC or corporation. Okay, that's why it's really crucial to really understand what entity you choose, why you choose it, and having a good accounting system. The basic is enough, but make sure it falls in line with your entity. Having a dedicated business bank account and a credit card, paying yourself a salary or owner's draw instead of taking money randomly, it keeps records clear and professional. Make sure that you're following the best practices. Make sure those best practices are following on throughout your business. Avoid accounting errors and legal issues. I mean, I have Kevin right here. He knows, right? There's legal issues. The first thing he's going to say, let me look at your financials. You know what I mean? Because there's got to be something that happened, right? You need to gain clarity and, and operate professionally, but you need to have education. You need to educate yourself. Many people run blind in their business, and many people can cook your books if you're not proper, if you're not educated. You can overestimate revenue, underestimate expenses, not paying the proper things. This is a really big issue, and there's differences whether it's an LLC to a C corp. So you want to make sure that you're educating yourself. Separating those accounts is really crucial. It's going to be really helpful too, as you move along. And so accounting as a strategic tool. I say that accounting, bookkeeping, all these things are a huge strategic tool for you. They keep your profitability, where you're not stressing about it. It keeps you where you need to know where you need to make your breaking point. Like, where's your break even point? What do I need to do to make to just break even, to make sure that I'm just paying everything. And even if I'm not making no money, having that cash flow is crucial, because you want to make sure that if you don't do business tomorrow because your business has slowed down, do you have that cash flow to sustain it? Okay. Also, helping with pricing costs, investment decisions. If you are a business, let's say a cleaning business, or you are a restaurant business, and you need to invest in purchasing equipment or a building or something like that, how are you able to show that to the investment banker, or to the realtor that wants to help you? Like, if you don't have this information in a row, you can get affected, but not being able to provide the proper resources, because taxes is not everything. It's not the only piece that you need to provide to buy a home, to buy a building, to invest in your business, for investors to invest in you, to get a loan, to get a small business administration grant. There's so many pieces that bookkeeping and accounting is such a strategic tool for you, that if you are not doing it properly, you can be losing thousands of dollars, you could probably end up not having a business tomorrow, and you could also be sued. Okay. And that brings legal precautions. So making sure that you have what it takes and get help from professionals. You know, every one of us here is providing you different types of professional services. Know when to hire a bookkeeper or CPA. When people tell me, when do I hire a bookkeeper or CPA or attorney or anything? Now, when you're planning, you know, if you want advice, call someone, you know, roles versus outsourcing. Know your pros and cons. You know, what is it that you need those services for? Okay? One thing about accounting, we're involved in everything. We are everything. Like, it has to go through that accounting piece. Everything you do on a day-to-day basis, whether it's operating, financing, or investing activities, has to go through your accounting software, your bookkeeping software. It does not matter what you do in that day-to-day. So it's really crucial to remember that your business is separate from your personal. You need to make sure that connection is made. And that could be a crucial thing if you're not doing the things properly, especially, you know, for tax purpose, for legal purposes, and so forth. So 5 takeaways that I want you to remember. Okay. Cash flow is king. Cash is king. Cash is king. Knowing your cash. Taxes need year-round planning. People think, oh, I'm going to wait till January, or I'm going to wait till December 31st. No, you need to start from January for next year. You know, don't wait till the last minute. Good bookkeeping equals informed decisions. So if you're having the right professional helping you with your bookkeeping, if you want to do it yourself, make sure you're getting trained by a professional. Don't just wing it, because you're going to need this information. And this makes your business more powerful, more sustainable. Separate business from personal finances. I can't stress that. I don't think that's like a revolving door for me. Make sure that it doesn't matter if it's a credit card, if it's a business account, make sure it's separate businesses. I'd rather see an owner's draw from you, or you loaning your company money because they need it, versus you using that money in the wrong way. Okay. Choose a business structure that fits your goals. What are you deciding in your business plan before you start this business? Know if you want to be the partnership, the LLC, the S corp, the corporation. You know, make sure you know what the rules and regulations of your state are, especially in the state of Minnesota. Your address or your location of your tax, you know, your entity really reflects how it's going to affect you, you know, for your tax preparation. So be diligent and vigilant in knowing where you live. Your zip code makes a big deal too. So if you want to have understand where that is, make sure you understand the rules and regulations of that, because that's really crucial. Okay. So, you know, I'm going to be offering everyone here, anyone watching this workshop, you're a free downloadable, ready to use checklist for individual and small tax business taxes. So all you have to do is scan the QR code. It will, you just sign up, and we will send you this free tax preparation checklist. So that way, you know what it is that you need, not only for your personal, but also your business. Because when you do your taxes, you need to be doing them simultaneously at the same time. You don't wait till the last minute. You make sure everything's involved from your personal to your business, because you, depending on your entity, you need to provide all that information to that tax preparation person. So any questions? Were there any questions? Thank you so much again. Thank you for joining. I hope you leave with the tools and confidence to take control of your business. And don't forget, we have this downloadable free tax prep checklist for you. Give it a moment. It will, as soon as you sign up for it, it will be emailed out to you.
Awesome.
And that's all I have for today. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Deity. Really great content. Appreciate you putting that together for us. You you answer a lot of the questions that I was having, but thinking about, you mentioned that the best time to engage with a professional is today, right now. Uh, but then once you decided you need help, maybe you're at different stages. You might be thinking of putting something together. You might be thinking starting your consulting company or something like that. What will be you have the checklists for tax preparation. What will be kind of like the basic things they need to come with or prepare before they meet with someone like yourself so that they can have that productive conversation right out of the gate?
I think the most important thing is starting with their business plan. um getting help with a business plan, making sure that their business plan shows exactly what they're looking for, what they're needing to start off that business. Because if they don't know, if they don't have the proper planning set up before they even start a business, where we know many
Mm-hmm.
people just start a business, they just go get an LLC and just say, oh, well, I'm in
Yep.
business, right? But they really didn't implement a business, like a business plan. We always tell people, or we guide them to someone that can help them with a business plan. We do business consulting at Valentin Consulting, so we can help them with that too. But we usually try to provide them with someone local in the community that say, okay, we want you to go get assistance and educate yourself on your business plan, so you know exactly what is it that you're uniquely doing, what is your business, what is it entails, and have that structure. Once they have that, then they know who they need to cater to and go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that once they have an established business, then that's where Kevin comes in, right? That trust and all those estate planning and all that other stuff, whether it's individual or per business, right? But when they're starting out, they need to make sure that they know all the different pieces in a business, right? From their entity to bank accounts to tax ID numbers, all these things need to be done in advance, so we can guide them. Like if they were coming to our firm, we can guide them to say, okay, this is the software you need to use, this is how we're going to educate you, this is what we're going to train you, and then offer those people the opportunity to say, okay, I want the basic bookkeeping service or the full charge bookkeeping service.
Mm-hmm.
Because every accounting firm, like myself, consulting firm, we offer various different services to our clients. So it all depends on what that client's looking for. If they're just a small one person show, we usually tell them, hey, let's go what makes it affordable to you based on what you're looking for. And if that bookkeeping software works for you, and then making sure it aligns with the tax compliances, because we make sure that the bookkeeping software is going to help them with their tax compliances. And if they're doing payroll, we make sure we align them with the right payroll service to make sure that they're getting like their workman's comp taken care of, the payroll taxes taken
Mm-hmm.
care of, based on the city and state that they live in. Because again, many people don't realize this, but the state of Minnesota, there's city, county, state, federal. There's all kinds of things. And if you are not educated in this based on your zip code,
Yep.
that could be a big issue. And knowing that is by doing a good business plan.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. Would it be any different if someone got started and they realize after watching the webinar that they need to upgrade their uh, their bookkeeping and such? What should they bring in to you once they have a business already started and they're doing well, but they want to do better?
Well, at Valentin Consulting, what we do is we do a basic financial analysis, and that is automatically free. So, what we do is we tell the clients to give us all their bank statement information, so that way
Mm-hmm.
we can review it and do a financial analysis just based on the last year of business. If they have an accounting software, depending on their accounting software, we may ask them for their financials just to see how it compares apples to apples if they've done it. Many times they haven't implemented a bookkeeping system. So we need to look at those financials. So based on their financials and any discrepancies in their financials, we educate the client to say, hey, this is where you should be. This is what needs to be done. And this is the software you should be using based on your business entity,
Mm-hmm.
based on the tax compliance, and so forth and so on. We really stress to individuals, pay yourself. If they are paying themselves, they're not going to be stealing from Peter to pay Paul. They won't, you know. But if they're not paying themselves because they say they don't make enough money, well, you do make enough money, you're just taking it out and you're not realizing it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So I think someone that has not did a business plan, started their business, it's never too late to meet with a professional to get the guidance and information that you need to make sure that you are abiding by the state regulations. Doesn't matter what state, whether it's Minnesota or any state. We work with various states, not just the state, not just Minnesota. So you want to make sure that you understand local, county, city, state, federal, everything. Because if you don't, then you're going to get hit by something that you're going to be like, OMG, what happened? And now they're going to put a lien on your property. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And you're like, OMG. Now you won't be able to sell your house because weren't educated on what entity you used. So now they've taken your house. So then, you're going to go sell your house. And now you got to pay all those people off and you can't sell your house because you got to pay those people off. And now you got no money. So it's really, really important. And I say it this way because I really want people to understand. I could tell you in big words, but I really want to say it to bring it down to the level of people that aren't understanding watching this workshop, that the some of our non-traditional business owners are not educated. They don't have that education. Some of them do, some of them don't. But they need that handheld, that really handheld of what you were saying, Rafido. They need that handheld to say, okay, this is what you're doing, but we're going to suggest this and recommend this. You're the owner, you choose to do it, but this is going to help you. So that's one of those pieces that we guide.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then the last question that sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No, it was one kind of question that I was maybe gonna. You're talking about keeping the business and the finances things separate. If you could maybe talk a little bit about the importance of knowing who owns what as far as the company is concerned versus yourself, because there's the things going into the business and then there's the things coming out of the business. So like talking about contributions to the business versus distributions for the business and just how really kind of hammering down those who owns what and when things are going out to you versus going into the business and why that's important from the financial perspective.
Well, that is a great question because that is a question that comes up a lot when it comes to individuals with the S Corp, especially with S Corp and C Corp. Because when you have to remember that if you are doing any owner's draws or distribution to owners, who's the owner? That's the person that has invested in the business. You are the stockholder. You are the CEO or the owner of the business. So you are entitled to pull an owner's draw or a distribution of your funds. In that reality, that is not taxable. Okay. But if you are wanting to pay yourself like a payroll, you want to get paid as a payroll. Now you can't call an owner's draw or distribution payroll. That is not legal. That is not correct. Your personal bank account means that's your personal. That's what you do with your day-to-day personal stuff, your rent, your personal, I'm going to go take Johnny to get some ice cream type of deal. But your business, when you invest in your business and you contribute into the business, now you're one of those stakeholders in the business. So that is considered an owner. Okay. As an owner, if you're putting money into it, now you've just increased your value as the owner and a stakeholder. Okay. Now that gives you a benefit of how much you are represented in the company. But at the same time, you have to remember that that is money that just is helping the business. When you put it in, it's helping the business because you're basically loaning money to the company, basically what you're doing. But any day-to-day operations and in money that's coming in and out of the business, it affects that ownership. It affects that value that you've put in there. So it's really important to keep those distributions separate from any revenue that's coming in because that is separate revenue. You have to allocate them properly so you know what those distributions are for and what are they used for. Because that's where we see a lot of clients It's a great question, Kevin. We see a lot of clients that say, "Oh, well, I'm pulling this owner's draw, or I'm pulling this money," and I'm like, "Okay, what do you use it for? What do you want to pull this money for? Why are you pulling it? How many times are you pulling it?" That's a key factor there too. I can't pay myself, but I just pull an owner's draw. Well, owner's draw and paying yourself are two separate things. And one is taxable and one is not. And if the IRS audits you and they see an owner's draw as considered a payroll, they will fine you a big penalty because you're not properly allocating that distribution or that owner's draw. And that distribution means you are investing this money. You can say this distribution is for certain things. And it falls really in line too with not only profit, but nonprofit too. So if you're getting donations or sponsorship money or things like that, you need to make sure that if that money is being given, it's for a specific need reason. You can't just use it for anything, and that's where it needs to be separated. And, when you're doing owner's draws, you got to be mindful. The people that do owner's draws and don't know why they're doing them, and then they say they don't pay themselves, is because they're not haven't been educated to know that it's a separate piece. You can't consider an owner's draw area of payroll or something significant for you. You've seen the value of your profit and loss. You're taking an owner's draw based on your value of what is left over. But if you don't have nothing left over, why are you taking a draw? There's nothing left over. So so when we're talking about an owner's draw is money that is, after everything is said and done, this is your profit. You can pull from that draw. But if you are not doing that, why are you pulling it? That's the question I have. I don't know if I answered that question, Kevin.
That's okay. Yeah, it relates a lot to the distributions and trying to make sure that people understand, like, hey, if you're distributing this to yourself and it's an LLC, there can be some capital gains associated with that. If you're paying yourself as an employee, there's certain tax associated with that. And then if you're trying to do neither of those two, why are you doing it? And what are you doing with that money?
Exactly. And that's where, a lot of companies come to me and I start off with the business consulting and then we end up taking over their accounting services. Why? Because it's not that other people are not doing it. It's that they only thought a CPA, they're only going to a CPA for tax purposes. Not all CPAs understand managerial accounting and financial accounting. You have to make sure you know that. If you're looking for a specific person to really help you with your bookkeeping, you need to make sure that they are not just a tax preparation organization, that they really know, like Kevin mentioned, what your capital gains or losses are, what distributions are, what ownership is, what entity you are, why you're doing this with your entity and what you're doing for it. And most tax preparation people are not managerial and financial accounting. They don't do the operation side of the bookkeeping.
Got one last question. So I'm in trouble, didn't watch the webinar, and now I'm in trouble. I get the IRS sending me letters. What is the best way? Who do I consult first? That might be for Kevin or Dr. Daisy here. What is the best route to take at that point?
Well, if it's a legal entity, I would say contact Kevin. If you got like a judgment or something and it's legal, I would say contact Kevin. If it's just a letter from the IRS that says, hey, we see that we did an audit or something like that, you can call, Valentin Consulting or any tax professional or accounting firm. I would say an accounting firm, not just a tax person, because you want to make sure that your books were done right, everything was done right, and whatever the IRS is asking, that you're giving it to them, right? You don't want to give them too much, but you also want to give them what they say they don't see, okay? But when it goes beyond that, where they already say, hey, we're putting a lien on your property, we're putting a judgment, we're doing this or that, when it surpasses that, now that is an attorney's that you need to contact an attorney, because now you need an IRS attorney. You need someone that's going to assist you, and then the attorney and your professional, tax professional or CPA or a professional advisor will work together with the attorney to make sure all those things are put in place and accurate. Because a lot of times we see people that do this all the time.
And a big one I would say that people don't necessarily know, which they should know, is you cannot represent your business in court. So if you were, if it's criminal court or something like that, you could theoretically represent yourself. If it's civil court and somebody's going after you personally, you can represent yourself. You cannot represent your business in court. If you show up and try to say, I'm here to respond on behalf of my company, they will say, you might as well not have, because you're not legally authorized to be able to say anything. The one exception to that is conciliation small claims court, but outside of that, you cannot represent your company in court.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you both. Thanks to the Latino Chamber again for having us here. Now let Fabio, last words.
Okay, no, I want to thank you. This is a great team. All the information provided is so valuable, is so critical. I mean, this accounting piece impact Latino businesses all over the place, especially the small ones. And Dr. Daisy mentioned, this difference between a tax person and the real accounting person. This very different. And there's a lot of smaller um, Latino businesses that they just want to go to the tax person and hey, they come with their own numbers and say, here it is, do help me with my taxes. And then then the tax person say, you know what, this doesn't look good, but I don't do it. I don't do this. Well, for Dr. Daisy and her organization, thanks God they do both, but a lot of them don't do both. So I think this is a very, very critical, very important point. Having your numbers, your accounting, your books the right way from the beginning. That is a very big impact. And thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Daisy, Kevin, and Wilfredo for helping us with this webinar, because that will send out that message to our business owners, Latino business owners. Put attention, pay attention, a lot of attention into the accounting, into the numbers, so you have access to other opportunities there, financial opportunities, banking, funding opportunities. If you have your accounting really well done, you won't have any trouble. But if you don't, then you're going to have to start all over the place. So I like this topic really good. And I think there is a lot of learning to have here with this webinar. So we're going to be we are recording this webinar, and we're going to be posting it in our website so people can have access to this great information. Thank you, all of you, for your participation and for providing the information. With that, I just wanted to let you know, the audience and everybody that can be seeing this video, is that we are going to have the Spanish version of this same webinar next week. So if you know anybody that that would like to see it and do it in Spanish, we'll do it next week with the same team. We have a great team that is bilingual. We do English and Spanish, no problem. So this is a great team, great skills, great experience. So thank you so much. We'll see you the next time. And team, thank you so much for your help.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you.
day.